To think that someone defective like you married a man with children? Today was the long-awaited elementary school entrance ceremony. I wanted to peacefully watch my child's special day, but I ran into my ex-husband Connor. He speaks to me so casually, as if 9 years hadn't passed at all. By the way, are you alone? Where's your husband? Don't tell me you married just to take care of someone else's kid? Poor you, being used like that. Or wait, maybe you're just happy to have any child since you're infertile? Even if it's someone else's? Why do I have to be belittled by someone from my past? I'm reaching my limit of patience. But the important entrance ceremony is about to begin. I have to endure this now. Even as I tried to bear it, for some reason, Connor ended up cowering in fear of my husband. He trembled and acted intimidated all on his own, making a huge fuss. I'm Blair, 24 years old. I just got married and moved to a peaceful countryside area. My husband Connor was born in this rural town. This is also where we met. It happened a year ago when I was traveling with friends in a rental car. Following the GPS, we accidentally turned onto a farm road. Feeling uneasy but pressing forward, we found ourselves in the middle of a field. In my panic, I tried to make a U-turn and got stuck in the mud. The car wouldn't move forward or backward. As I stood there dumbfounded, Connor appeared dashingly. He immediately called for backup, and the car was safely pulled out of the mud. Thanks for the help. Well then, special price, just $3,000. Hey, that's highway robbery. Watching Connor joke around with the man who came to help, he looked more attractive than any man I'd ever met. Thank you very much. Don't mention it. Can't just leave a lady in trouble, right? As thanks, I treated Connor to a meal, which led to us dating and eventually getting married. The town Connor brought me to was a city next to the next city from a somewhat prosperous regional city. While not quite rural, it's fairly countryside. I was incredibly blessed because Connor's parents built us a house on the land next to their home as a wedding gift. However, the area is all residential, and you need a car to go shopping. Since I wasn't confident in my driving, I practiced intensively. While I managed to get comfortable with driving before getting married, I later realized that driving skills weren't the real issue. Surrounded by his local friends, Connor had many social obligations. They loved barbecues, and often 4 to 5 male friends would gather in our yard for festive gatherings. Hey, Blair, we're out of beer. And pour drinks for everyone. As a wife, you should know to serve drinks without being told. It was a scorching hot day. Plus, I was constantly flipping meat at the barbecue grill. My makeup had completely melted away in sweat. Blair, where are those drinks? And we're out of meat too. I want to eat steak soon. How long are you going to make us wait? If it takes this long just to grill meat at a barbecue, I bet it takes you 3 days to cook a regular meal. One of Connor's friends jeered, and everyone burst out laughing. Connor joined in the laughter too. Sweat stung my eyes. Tears welled up, but they probably couldn't tell because of the sweat. I kept working while forcing smiles at people I barely knew. I had always thought of myself as sociable and fun-loving, but socializing with his friends was just exhausting. Their teasing and treating me like a maid was painful, but I endured it thinking this must be normal. Since it was still difficult to join in their rowdy behavior, I focused on grilling meat and offering vague smiles. However, what made it even more uncomfortable was the one woman who attended almost every all-male gathering. Oh my, Blair is so clueless. I guess I'll have to pour drinks for everyone. Oh. Everyone looks so happy. You all like me too much. While the group members varied, this high-pitched voiced woman, Wendy, was always there. It seems she had been the center of attention as the only woman before I came along. At first, the men approached me too, but Wendy drove them away. Blair is Connor's wife. No touching. No getting familiar. While I was briefly grateful for Wendy's seemingly protective behavior, I soon learned her true nature. Like Connor and the other men, Wendy dumped all the barbecue preparation and cleanup on me while surrounding herself with the men. She wouldn't even stand up, just ordering me around. Blair, get me pizza. Without green peppers. The only female participant was not on my side. While these barbecues were supposedly held to help me, an outsider, socialize with the local community, after about 6 months of marriage, I still couldn't fit in. This barbecue was just another occasion where I had to listen to the men's tales of bravado. I took down 100 guys all by myself. Barehanded too. While I questioned whether such a fight was even possible, I knew they only wanted to hear, "That's amazing," and nothing else. Even after the barbecue ended and everyone left, I couldn't relax. Don't believe that guy's story from earlier. He was actually getting beaten up and running away when I showed up and took those guys down. But I don't mention it to let him save face. You know, just hearing my name used to make everyone in this town tremble. Even people in the next town were afraid of me. Isn't that funny? I'm usually such a nice guy. After entertaining his friend's tale of bravado, Connor now recounted his own stories to me. Again, only "That's amazing" was acceptable as a response. More exhausting than serving at the barbecues was listening to their tales of bravado and dealing with Wendy's queen-like behavior. My troubles continued. While cleaning up the barbecue alone in the yard, my mother-in-law appeared from next door. It seemed lively and fun today. Yes. Though I couldn't really say it was fun. My mother-in-law gently advised me, "But you know, when will you have children if you're always just playing with friends? Barbecues are more fun with family, aren't they? You've been married for 6 months now, so you should plan ahead. You're almost 25, right? If you don't have your first child soon, you'll be having your third child at an advanced maternal age. How about getting pregnant before Connor's birthday in August?" Well, these things happen when they're meant to. I tried to be vague, but my mother-in-law cheerfully replied, "Don't worry. At 25, you can have babies easily. A girl would be nice first. Girls are easier to raise. Then a boy for the second. The third can be either. Since you're pretty, I'm sure the children will be cute too." Oh, I'm so excited. My mother-in-law seemed to mean well. Actually, I'd heard this speech so many times it was like a broken record. Just like his friend's stories of bravado, my mother-in-law happily talked about her future grandchildren. 2 years passed after marrying Connor. His friends who used to hang out with him got married one after another and had children, so fewer people attended the gatherings, but the festive barbecues remained a tradition. I still hadn't had any children. In other words, nothing had changed from 2 years ago. However, everyone's attitudes had completely changed. Connor and his friends became even more inconsiderate in how they ordered me around. My mother-in-law's comments became clearly hostile. "Connor's almost 30, and you're 27, right? At 27, it wouldn't be strange to have 2 children already. Poor Connor. Why won't you make him a father? If I could, I would love to become a mother. But I hadn't gotten pregnant once in these 2 years. I wanted to get medical tests and fertility treatment if necessary, but my mother-in-law and husband strongly opposed it, saying it would look bad socially. My once cheerful mother-in-law now called me useless. As Connor's wife, I was expected to handle all housework perfectly, work part-time at a factory during weekdays, and entertain Connor's friends on holidays. I also helped with my in-laws' business during early mornings and evenings, so I had no time to rest and it was quite hard. Despite working this much, I was considered useless because I couldn't have children. Feeling pressured, I tried folk remedies and bought supplements advertised online, doing everything I could. But nothing worked. Of course not, since Connor and I hardly ever had the kind of intimate relationship that could lead to children. All this talk about trying for a baby and children is such a turn-off. Despite being pressured by his parents, he apparently had no intention of cooperating. It was impossible for a woman to get pregnant alone, yet I desperately tried not to miss the few chances we had. Such futile efforts became meaningless one day. Let's get divorced. Without any warning, during our usual breakfast, Connor brought up divorce. What? Why? Because you can't have kids. What about our family heir? But we could try together from now. My mother-in-law interrupted, Blair. Do you know what a wife's most important job is? It's bearing an heir. She spoke a little kindly to me as I hung my head. It's okay, Blair. When I looked up, both my mother-in-law and Connor were smiling. We already have an heir. Confused, I tilted my head. Connor's smile gradually twisted into a sneer. Yes, we have an heir. You see, Wendy is pregnant. Unlike you who couldn't get pregnant in 2 years, Wendy got pregnant right away. See, Wendy is impressive. So, Connor and Wendy were having an affair, and Wendy got pregnant? So I, the wife, was being thrown away? Though I understood, I just sat there blank-faced, unable to cry or get angry. My in-laws, excited about their first grandchild, gave me $10,000 in cash, and I was kicked out of the house the next day. I was surprised when Wendy came to see me off along with Connor and his parents. I'm going to work hard to have a healthy baby. Don't despair just because you're infertile. There are good things in life even without children. Take care. Without even waiting to see me leave, my in-laws, Connor, and Wendy went into the house where I had lived until just yesterday. 9 years have passed since that one-sided divorce. I'm 37 now. Today I dressed up more than usual, wearing a bright-colored suit with a fancy corsage at the chest. It's the elementary school entrance ceremony. The parents gathered in the gymnasium, waiting for the new students to enter. Huh? Blair? I was holding a camera and feeling excited, but my spine turned cold at the voice from behind. It was an uncouth voice unsuitable for the joyous entrance ceremony. The owner of the voice forced their way to look at my face. Wow, it really is Blair. What are you doing in a place like this? Why are you at my kid's school? Hey, don't ignore me. I reluctantly looked at the cheerful man. The man who met my eyes was undoubtedly my ex-husband Connor. Hey, why did you come to our school? Oh, we often get emails about suspicious people around the school. Could you be that suspicious person? Is a suspicious person crashing the entrance ceremony? Next to Connor was Wendy, unchanged after 9 years. She was dressed up in a flashy suit with a miniskirt. I didn't want people to think I was associated with people like them. I came because it's my child's entrance ceremony. When I said just that while facing forward, Connor and Wendy burst out laughing. Did you hear that? She said, my child. Even though she's infertile. Maybe she really is a suspicious person? Even though she's infertile. Though the gymnasium was somewhat noisy, their voices were the loudest. I couldn't help but warn them. I got married after cutting ties with you. The ceremony is about to start, so please sit down and be quiet. I coldly stated and decided to ignore them after that. Oh. So you married a man with kids? Someone defective like you. Of all things, Connor and Wendy sat down next to me. Wendy proudly lifted her chin and stroked her belly. When I glanced over, her belly was round just like 9 years ago. Without being asked, Wendy started chattering away. Oh, did you notice? I've got my 5th one in here. The one entering school today is our 3rd. I get pregnant so easily. Sorry about that, you infertile defect. Connor kept poking me with his finger and getting overly familiar, which was unbearable. Don't ignore me. By the way, are you alone? Where's your husband? Did your husband dump his kids on you? Ah. I see, so your husband is trash, huh? I just came to watch my child's special day, so why do I have to be belittled by someone from my past? I'm reaching my limit of patience. But the important entrance ceremony is about to begin. I have to endure this. Soon the entrance ceremony began. When the new students entered, Connor and Wendy made a fuss, squealing loudly. However, even they stayed quiet during the ceremony. I thought they had finally learned some manners, but they were just playing games on their phones, which was exasperating. It's sad to see parents, who should be role models for children, behaving this way. They were so absorbed in their phone games that they didn't listen to the principal's speech or the PTA representative's address at all. Hey, look. Despite not even being friends, Connor spoke to me casually. Even if they were speaking quietly, it stood out in the quiet venue, and I wish they wouldn't involve me. When I didn't respond, Connor poked my shoulder with a bored expression. What's with you? Are you enjoying your stepchild's entrance ceremony? Who cares about someone else's kid? Connor seemed to be testing how long I could remain unresponsive. Maybe you're scared of your husband? Like you can't defy him? Well, he must be trash if he dumps his kid on his wife and doesn't even come to the entrance ceremony. I bet the kid will tell on you to your husband if you don't do things right. Right? Connor nodded, having decided this on his own. I'm a good dad who comes to the entrance ceremony for my cute kids. Though that's just normal, I think. Your husband's just trash, right? Don't tell me you married just to take care of his kid. Poor you, being used like that. Or wait, maybe you're just happy to have any child? Even if it's someone else's? Though his quiet abuse continued, I had to endure. Connor is actually a pretty nice dad. He always comes to entrance ceremonies and sports days. If you had been able to get pregnant, you could have been happy with him. You got dumped by kind me and ended up with a trash man. I kind of feel responsible. Enough, no, I can't take it anymore. I don't want them to mock not just me, but my child and husband anymore. Let me introduce you to my husband. Without looking at them, I maintained my straight-ahead gaze and spoke in a sharp voice. I'm going to make them realize my husband isn't the trash they think he is. Oh. Where's your loser husband? Connor made a show of looking around. I answered while keeping my eyes on the stage. He's right in front of us. That's my husband giving the new student's parents' representative address. Connor and Wendy, who had shown no interest in the entrance ceremony, finally looked at the stage. There stood a man delivering the address with dignity. That man is my proud husband, Ed. He wasn't sitting next to me only because he had a role as the new student's parents' representative, but of course he was watching our child's special day too. He's definitely not the kind of man who dumps childcare on the mother or shows no interest in his child. Huh? A representative? What, is he an attention seeker? Connor and Wendy were slightly flustered. They showed their frustration at seeing the serious Ed, who was so different from what they had imagined. Ed had actively served as an officer at our child's kindergarten and other places. When they first chose officers at the kindergarten, Ed volunteered when everyone else was looking down and the atmosphere was heavy. While Ed might give a scary first impression to many people due to his large build and few words, his sincere nature had led him to dedicate himself to the kindergarten and community. He would surely be active at the elementary school too. Ed finished his address and bowed. When I glanced at Connor, he had turned pale and was trembling for some reason. That man? No way. He seemed unnecessarily surprised. Connor pressed close to Wendy and made himself small. After that, Connor became tongue-tied and quiet, and the entrance ceremony proceeded smoothly. Afterward, Connor was the one who kept his distance from me. Ed seemed to be caught up talking to someone, as he hadn't come out of the gymnasium even after several minutes. When I peeked inside, I saw he was caught by a chatty neighborhood housewife. This would probably take a while. I stood alone in front of the entrance, looking up at the sky. Then, Connor and Wendy, who had been watching me from afar, came over to bother me again. What, alone? Was that stuff about that man being your husband just a bluff? Look, that man is in the gymnasium with his real wife. See? I thought it was strange that you'd be that man's wife. You must be embarrassed to tell such lies. You're just envious of how lovey-dovey we are, right? It seemed they had decided Ed wasn't my husband and returned to their original assumption that I was a pitiful woman deceived by a worthless man. Our child was the cutest one. Connor crossed his arms and closed his eyes, apparently reminiscing about his child's special moment. Despite having done nothing but play games and chat during the ceremony, he now acted deeply moved. So, which one is your husband's kid? Introduce us. It's not a stepchild, it's the child I gave birth to. Come on, when you're infertile. No need to lie. Connor and Wendy snickered, and then my son Matt came running over with an innocent smile. Honestly, I didn't want him anywhere near them, but they were his classmates' parents after all. For Matt's sake, I couldn't openly avoid them. Mom. Did I answer loudly enough? Yes, you did. You were very cool. As I patted proud Matt's head, I noticed their smiles had disappeared. Hey, he looks just like you. They had probably imagined a child who didn't resemble me at all. But Matt and I look so alike we could be twins. Our appearance alone proves we're parent and child. Yes, we look alike. Because he's my biological child. But, you're infertile. Even faced with Matt, he still insisted I was infertile. Like a broken record, couldn't they think of any other insults? You know, I got pregnant right away after marrying someone else after you. Even though nothing happened when I was with you. I was worried about not getting pregnant back then, but now I'm truly glad I couldn't have children because it let me make a clean break from you. Having lost one piece of ammunition they used to belittle me, they glared at me with bitter expressions. They lowered their chins and furrowed their brows, glaring at me. It was like a textbook example of how delinquents try to look intimidating. I urged Matt to return to his classroom. While I might have expected this kind of confrontation in high school, I never imagined experiencing it from parents in their early 40s. These days, there are fewer obviously delinquent-looking children, and people like Connor and Wendy are becoming an endangered species. What? So you're saying Connor was the problem, not you? Just so you know, all 5 of our children are definitely Connor's. This isn't a lie. Wendy suddenly barked. From the beginning, it was clear that a normal conversation would be impossible. It would be a waste of time to engage with them further. However, as I tried to walk away ignoring them, Connor grabbed my shoulder. Don't you dare talk down to me. I didn't want to let someone like Connor, whom I'd cut ties with 9 years ago, upset me. Just as I tried to shake off his hand, Connor was enveloped by a dark shadow. When Connor turned around puzzled, there stood Ed, imposing as ever. Without a word, Ed gently removed Connor's hand from me. Though he hadn't twisted his arm or anything, Connor was shaking uncontrollably. Meanwhile, Ed's muscles were visible even through his suit, and he was intimidating just standing there. His chest was probably twice the size of Connor's. Ed looked down at Connor from a height difference of about a head. Is there a problem? Ed asked in his deep, earth-rumbling voice. No, not at all. This has nothing to do with you. Connor forced a smile and tried to butter Ed up. You're Mr. Johnson from the next town, aren't you? I've always respected you. While backing away, Connor tried to ingratiate himself with Ed. Apparently, Connor knew Ed. Ed doesn't talk much about himself, but I've heard stories from others. He had been well-built since his student days, and just like now, he commanded respect without raising his voice or lifting a hand. The fact that he was a lone wolf who didn't hang out with friends probably added to people's reverence. Also, though the truth of this is uncertain, there's a legend that when some scary people picked a fight with Ed in the past, he fought them alone and won. Ed denies it, but people in the area seem to believe it's true. Connor, who lived in the neighboring town, must have heard rumors about Ed too. Come to think of it, didn't Connor brag, just hearing my name made everyone in this town tremble? But where was all that bravado now? Connor was pathetically trying to curry favor. Wendy also joined in with a sloppy smile, clinging to Ed's thick arm. While some men might be happy to have her touch them so casually, Ed shook off Wendy's hand with obvious disgust. Don't touch my husband. I couldn't help but speak up. Connor and Wendy froze with wide eyes. During this pause, Ed walked over to me and put his arm around my shoulders. Though Connor probably had a vague idea that Ed and I were really married, he must have been too scared to acknowledge it. Fearfully, Connor opened his mouth. Blair, you. To the confused Connor, I clearly stated, I am Ed's wife. When Ed also nodded deeply, Connor finally lost all color in his face. No way, that can't be. He hunched his shoulders, looking completely different from the person who had been glaring at me earlier. You seem to be having quite the friendly chat with my wife. Please, let me join the conversation. No, that's fine. I could hear you. It was about infertility, wasn't it? But discussing such a sensitive topic loudly, and on an auspicious day like an entrance ceremony, is that really appropriate? Connor made himself even smaller. Sweat was pouring down his face as he gradually backed away. I'm sorry. Connor fell to his knees on the concrete, not caring that his suit would get dirty from the sand blown in from the playground. I didn't know. I had no idea Blair was your wife. Ed stopped Connor before he could bang his head on the concrete. Though Ed had only gently touched his shoulder, Connor jumped again. So you're Mr. Connor Robinson. I've heard about you from Blair. It seems you treated Blair quite badly in the past. Well, Ed helped Connor stand up, then crouched down to meet Connor's eyes and smiled slightly. But that's in the past. Now, let's both behave in ways that won't shame our children as parents. His deep voice made the air vibrate. Connor could barely manage to respond. With tears in his eyes, Connor's legs were shaking like a poorly controlled puppet. Ed narrowed just his eyes without raising the corners of his mouth. It's a promise. This simple reminder struck Connor like a bullet. He staggered and fell on his backside. Despite all his bragging about being bad, Connor tucked his tail between his legs in front of someone stronger. It was pathetic to see that this was all he amounted to. While Ed, once known as the tough guy from the next town, had fully grown into a father, Connor and Wendy hadn't matured at all since their school days. They were trembling in fear just imagining Ed's past, but would stories about being feared in this town still have any effect today? If there was any power in it, it would only be within their narrow community. From their fashion to their behavior, Connor and his group were just embarrassing. Well, Blair, shall we go? Yes, we have the parents' meeting after the entrance ceremony. I glanced at Connor, who had turned white and was sitting there, and Wendy, who was standing frozen. They were supposed to select PTA officers at the parents' meeting. You'll be late for the parents' meeting too. As they looked like they might sit there for an hour or two, I called out to them as a fellow parent of a classmate. But Ed shook his head. I heard from the PTA president that they don't have to participate specially. We should get going. Though puzzled, I started walking as Ed gently pushed my back. However, this one comment somehow revived Connor. That's right. We're special. Regaining his confidence, he started bragging to me happily. I'm a big deal in this town. Mr. Johnson might not know since he's from the next town, but I'm famous. We're the only ones exempt from PTA. We don't have to deal with troublesome PTA stuff. The teachers told us we don't have to. The teachers are scared of me too. The elementary school near our house had merged last year with the elementary school in Connor's area due to declining student numbers. While I had been worried about entering Connor's sphere of life, I hadn't expected our children's ages to overlap and had let my guard down. Connor seemed to want to say he had more power in this town than Ed. Though he had cowered before Ed just moments ago, remembering this was his territory, he recovered quickly. He had been intimidated by Ed's past reputation until just now, but his ability to switch gears was almost too fast to follow. Sigh, do you really think that's the case? Ed held his head and sighed. The teachers aren't exempting you from PTA duties because they're scared of you. To be perfectly frank, it's because you're being excluded. Connor and Wendy looked confused. They really seemed to believe they were special. Ed appeared calm, but I could tell he was quite angry because he usually doesn't talk this much. Will you do the assigned PTA work? No, you won't, right? Yet I hear you just cause trouble and disrupt the harmony by complaining constantly. I heard there were many problems with you during previous school entrances too. Connor fell silent. Hey, pull yourself together. Though Wendy shook Connor, his cheek just twitched spasmodically. Ed turned his sharp gaze to Wendy. "Ma'am, are the rumors about you true as well? That you too neglected your children and PTA duties, being too busy chasing after men you fancy?" Wendy also fell silent. Looking down at them, Ed continued. "I heard that when you said you didn't want to deal with troublesome PTA stuff, the teachers and other parents were all in favor of you not being involved. You'd think there would be complaints about unfairness, but apparently there wasn't a single one. That's how much of a nuisance you both are." Several parents listening nearby nodded in agreement. Apparently, some parents already knew about Connor's bad reputation. Connor's face turned red. "What? Don't talk nonsense. I won't let you get away with this, even if it is you. Do you know what happens when you make me angry? My gang will come running," he shouted, spitting as he yelled. "My friends will come when I call." "Oh really? Your boyfriends will come?" "Yes. I'm serious. If you pay them, they'll come running, right?" During my marriage to Connor, I hadn't noticed, but thinking back, Connor was just a cash cow for his male friends. Connor's family was wealthy, and he spent money freely. Come to think of it, when he helped me get my car out of the mud, he handed over a thick wad of bills from his wallet to his friend. At barbecues, he provided all-you-can-drink beer and luxurious steaks. Looking back, his friends never accepted invitations that didn't involve money or beer. Moreover, they were constantly asking him for money. I wonder how much they'd charge to take down Johnson from the next town. Connor lost his momentum and hung his head. Apparently, he too was aware that these were relationships built on money. He seemed suddenly ashamed that I had realized this too. "That's not. If you don't think so, why don't you call your friends? Without dangling money." "Shut up. Of course they won't come without money. Connor, pay them $5,000 or $10,000 to shut these people up. You have money." Brave Wendy slapped Connor's back. Connor's strength drained away even more. Once even Wendy told him to fix things with money, there was no helping it. His tales of bravado were probably lies too. Connor, who had bought power with his parents' money and misunderstood his own position, was pathetic. "I am amazing," Connor muttered in a tearful voice, holding his head, as if trying to convince himself. Unable to bear the cold stares from those around him, Connor started walking toward the school gate. Though he was trying to make himself invisible by hanging his head so low he couldn't see where he was going, he was unfortunately completely visible. It was almost pitiful enough to make me stop saying anything more. "What? Connor, where are you going? Are you going to get money from your mother?" However, Wendy, unable to read the room, chased after Connor while shouting. After that, neither Connor nor Wendy showed their faces at school again. In a small rural area, rumors spread quickly. Apparently, suspicions arose that none of Connor's 5 children were actually his biological children. It seems Wendy had been hunting for men even at her children's kindergarten and school, but until Ed told him that day, Connor apparently hadn't known about it. What? He didn't know about his wife's man-chasing habits. Ed was surprised later. Though I had thought Wendy's bad reputation with men was common knowledge, it seems it had never reached Connor's ears. Since he had no true friends who would tell him the truth, only people who treated him as a cash cow, no one had informed him. Did I do something wrong by revealing the affair? Rather, it's stranger that Connor was the only one who didn't know when the whole town knew. "I don't think you did anything wrong?" Then a few weeks later, for some reason, Connor came barging into our house. In the countryside, addresses are easily obtained. Though I braced myself thinking he had come to complain, Connor was strangely calm, as if possessed. I divorced Wendy. She completely fooled me. She thought if she married me, she wouldn't have to worry about money. So she played around freely, had kids with who knows which men, and used my money to raise them. He laughed self-deprecatingly. He had kicked Wendy out, and Connor's parents were taking care of the children. Connor had proposed DNA testing, but his parents refused, saying it would look bad socially. They would raise them as the Robinson family's grandchildren. In the end, it remained unclear whether he was capable of having children. He must have conflicting feelings between wanting to know the truth and being unable to accept the facts. Mom got angry about me spending too much money, and I got kicked out too. I became afraid to hear any more. Hey, why don't we try again? We don't need kids this time. I want your kind support. It sent chills down my spine. I stated clearly, no way. Don't say that, we were once in love, weren't we? So basically, after your wealthy parents abandoned you, you can't live alone, so you want me to support you? His male friends probably had no use for a Connor without money either. So he came to me, thinking he might be able to push me around. No way. It's not about money. I simply can't imagine wanting to be with Connor as a person. Finally alone, Connor is scraping by with part-time jobs while enduring rumors within the small town. Even in this situation, he apparently doesn't have the courage to leave town for the city. I heard that Wendy quickly caught another man and was set to marry him, but it turned out she was just scammed out of her money in a marriage fraud. She's over 40 now and deep in debt. I wonder when she'll realize she no longer has the looks to play around with men as she pleases. The future of someone who has lived depending on men is predictable. Though rumors about them inevitably reach us, we won't have to hear them much longer. We've decided to move as a family. While Ed might feel sad about leaving the area where he grew up, he too apparently felt limited by this town. Matt only had 18 classmates. Of those, only 5 were boys. Mom, the next elementary school has 4 classes. There are over 100 kids in the same grade. I could make 100 friends. That's amazing. Matt is also looking forward to the new environment. The bigger town will surely have its share of difficult people too. But I believe we'll find even more wonderful encounters there than we'll find difficult ones.